Hey, 7-year anniversary. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies, TV shows, and animes. So yeah, it is April 18th right now, which means that it's been 7 whole years since I've started this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for subscribing to me, and I'm still not monetized because YouTube hates me, but I'm gonna keep going. So anyways, let's talk about movies, TV shows, and animes. I'm going to be doing a movie roundup video where I talk about my favorite TV shows, movies, and animes of the last couple of weeks or so. Yeah, I've been extremely busy, and I will only get more and more busy until early May because it's going to be the finals, and I'm entering the last 2 weeks of my semester, and I am swarmed with papers and assignments and projects, and I'm sleep deprived, and I'm hungry, and I'm cold, and I'm dying, and it's great. But even still, I am going to watch more movies. So starting off, I watched Lucia. So this is a film I watched during a class, and this is actually an anthology film with 3 parts. The professor only screened parts 2 and parts 3 out of the 3 parts. Honestly, this is unexpectedly a very easy watch, and part 3 in particular is very entertaining. I love the rough editing and the handheld camera work. At times it's very French New Wavy, but I guess this is a trademark of imperfect cinema. If you don't know this, Lucia is actually a film that is part of the imperfect cinema / third cinema movement that started in Argentina and Cuba. And I really like the music in this film. I like the sense of humor. I also like the political messaging of the film. 8 out of 10. Then I watched Blowout by Brian De Palma. I watched it also for a fucking class. I watched it so that I could write a paper on it. 1 out of the 4 papers. It's so annoying. I actually avoided this issue for my first 2 papers by writing about A Clockwork Orange and Midnight Cowboy, both of which are films that I've seen before. But anyways, I digress. Blowout is really good. I ended up liking it a lot. I'm a sucker for political thrillers, and this is a meat and potatoes political thriller with an engaging mystery. The sound editing and the sound mixing is amazing, given that the movie is about sound after all. And the editing is great. I love the use of split screen. It's really cool. And I really like it when characters just try to outsmart each other, especially in a political context. 9 out of 10. And then, guess what? I watched my own short film. Woohoo! So yeah, a couple weeks ago, there was the CAMS Fest, which stands for Cinema and Media Studies, CAMS, CAMS. And it is a film festival organized within USC, made for CAM students, by CAM students, but anyone can go into the theater and you know, participate in viewing these short films. Apparently 32 short films were submitted this year and 12 were chosen, and I was chosen. And on top of that, only 6 of the films are nominated for an award, and I was one of them. So, hey, baby! Then for my other film class, I watched Reservation Dogs. Yes, it's a TV show. We didn't watch the whole thing. So the professor decided to screen season 1 episode 1, which I was late and I only watched like the last 10 minutes. Season 2 episode 3, season 2 episode 9, season 3 episode 10, aka the finale. Honestly, it's not that funny, and some of the characters felt like caricatures in my opinion. And for some reason, this feels very American, which is a little ironic given that the show is about Native Americans, but yet the show feels very American, like white American, but maybe that's intentional. And also, who am I to say? I know barely anything about Native American culture and community, but it's just the way people act, the coolness, the sitcom style. The character of William Knifeman is a comic relief character forced to be some kind of trauma processor, which felt like a cliche plot device. Also, whenever he shows up, it felt like I'm watching an insurance commercial. The magical realism is cool, but it just feels like a cool accessory, and there's nothing too profound about it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of heart. And also, friggin' Lily Gladstone is amazing in this show. But overall, not too, not too impressed. 6 out of 10. Then I finally watched Pierrot le Fou by Jean-Luc Godard. Yes, I've been planning to watch it for a very long time, but I've been putting it off for a very long time, especially after the Breathless incident last year. I have a little beef with Jean-Luc Godard, if you know what I mean. But turns out Pierrot le Fou is a really good film. I like it even more than Breathless. I like how illogical and dreamy it is. It is defiant of conventional cinema, and it is really refreshing, even though it's released in 1965. The first half of the film is really playful and fun, especially with the editing and musical moments, but the second half kind of drags on. There's also a fetishization of Asian communism that didn't really sit well with me. Oh yeah, Mao Zedong is really cool, until you actually live under his rule. Then you realize how not cool it is because you're going to fucking die. But it's still a cool film, I guess. 8 out of 10. Then I watched The Iron Claw, and yeah, it is good. There really isn't a lot to say about this film. It just does its job really well. It is a tragic biopic with great acting and competent everything else. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Then I watched Days of Being Wild by Wong Kar-wai, or in Cantonese, Fei Zhengjun, or the story of Fei, if you care about accurate Cantonese to English translation. But this is the first film where Wong Kar-wai goes full art house mode. Also, this film feels very limited to several of the same locations and characters and story ideas. I feel a sense of yearning and loneliness, which I really love, but I feel like these feelings are explored much better in later films like Chungking Express and Fallen Angels and Happy Together and In the Mood for Love. And the cinematography is also not as colorful or as beautiful as I thought it would be. One thing to note is Leslie Jones' character, which, if you know, you know. It makes me understand a certain girl more. But overall, it's an okay movie. It didn't really surprise me or anything. 7 out of 10. Then I watched Life of Brian, also for a class. It's for a religion class, actually. And it is actually pretty entertaining. Sometimes I find it too tough. Sometimes I find it tough to relate to British humor, especially when it's 1970s British humor, but there's still a lot of silly, goofy moments that ended up making me chuckle and giggle like a little child. I like that every joke is a criticism and a satire of something, whether it be religion, British politics, or the British public school system, and overall it is a really smart film. 8 out of 10. Then I watched Switch, and oh my god, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I did not expect this movie to be this bad. The acting, the editing, the CGI, everything's done so poorly, it's like a money laundering scheme. Also, not to forget to mention how misogynistic this movie is. 0 out of 10. Then I watched Civil War by Alex Garland. Honestly, it's not that bad. I really like the angle it has on journalism and war photography. Some scenes in this film are really well put together and well written. Some scenes are just okay. The main character, however, comes off bland and some moments feel unrealistic. Also, I forgot to mention this in my review, but there's one scene where Jesse Plemons was like, "Where are you from?" And the guy says, "Hong Kong." And Jesse Plemons was like, "Oh, so China." And that was a really shocking scene. So Civil War is being played in Hong Kong right now, and people are talking about the scene quite a lot. But honestly, it's really not that bad of a film. 7 out of 10. Then we watched Squid Game for a class. So the professor screened episode 1 and episode 6, and damn, it's good. Episode 1 is still one of the most efficient and accessible pilot episodes I've ever seen. It follows the Hollywood formula and it worked like a charm. Episode 6 is still just as intense and as emotional as I remembered. 7 out of 10. Then I finished watching the anime Migi and Dolly. First of all, rest in peace, Sano Nami. I watched the anime partially because of her passing. The anime starts off a little silly, like a silly little comedy slice of life, but it ended up being a roller coaster ride of mystery and thriller. I really like how this anime turns into a murder mystery, and even so, there's still a lot of unserious and funny moments. Some moments are just straight up weird. And again, it's not a big anime, there's not a lot of budget going into it, so there's a lot of bland colors and animation, but overall, the story pretty much carried it for me. 8 out of 10. Then yesterday for a class we watched Go Fish, which is a lesser known film from the 1990s. And for the same class, the professor actually screened Fargo and Fight Club, but I skipped those 2 screenings in the last 2 Wednesdays because I just have too much to do, and I've seen them both anyways. But anyways, I digress. For this film, I appreciate its boldness, especially in regards to representation of the lesbian community, but it just feels like a really long student film, and the acting is really not good, especially the main character. She just comes off really stiff. I like some of the editing choices, and I think the electronic music is awesome. The 90s is truly something else when it comes to electronic music, but still, I fell asleep many times in the film. I was just really uninterested. 6 out of 10. So yeah, these are the movies, TV shows, and animes I watched in the last few days or so. Comments below, let me know what you have seen. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Yeah.